Hello everyone, Logan Albright here, and 'tis the season. It's October, it's coming up on Halloween, and you know what that means? It's the best time of year, and the best time of year for reading scary stories. So, what I thought I would do today is talk to you a little bit about H.P. Lovecraft and some of my favorite of his stories. Now, this was a little bit of a difficult list to put together because there are the favorite H.P. Lovecraft stories that everybody knows from the Cthulhu mythos, and they're widely regarded as his best. And doing a list of those, I thought would be boring because they're all going to be the same. Everyone's going to have the same 5 stories. It's The Call of Cthulhu, The Dunwich Horror, At the Mountains of Madness, The Shadow Out of Time, and The Shadow over Innsmouth. There, if that's the list you want, I just gave it to you. But I instead want to do 5 of the stories that I like best that are not among his major ones. Stories you may not have read before, stories you may not have heard of, some of his lesser known works that happen to speak to me on a personal level and why I like them. So without further ado, let's go to the list. Wait, I haven't shown the book yet. There it is. Look at this. Barnes & Noble edition, faux leather bound, hardcover. It's got a little holograph thing on the cover. That's kind of cool. It's got the complete stories. Coming in at number 5 is The Cats of Othar. This is a little known early work. It's quite short and it's quite derivative of another author I like a lot called Lord Dunsany. Lord Dunsany wrote these very odd little fantasy stories in which he was able to imagine these completely other worlds within the space of a few pages. They're wonderful stories. I recommend you check them out if you haven't. But Lovecraft was heavily influenced by him, especially in the early days. And this is a story very much in the style that Lord Dunsany worked in. It's about a mythical city called Ulthar and the explanation of why they have a law making it illegal for humans to kill cats. That's all I'll say about it because it's only a couple pages long. You can read it quickly. But I like cats, and so I like stories about cats. It's kind of an answer to Edgar Allan Poe's story, The Black Cat, which is a story I don't like because it's quite cruel and unpleasant if you like cats. This story is not like that. It's a lot nicer, and the cats get their own back against the humans, which is quite pleasant. So that's my number 5 story. Number 4 is The Music of Erik Zahn. This is sort of a style that Lovecraft dipped into a couple times. It's quite similar to the story Pickman's Model, but I like this one because it's about music, and I'm a musician, and I love music, and I'm fascinated by the idea of kind of otherworldly, just completely alien music that is unlike anything anyone's ever heard before, and that's what this story features. It's kind of similar to it's got a violinist named Erik Zahn who plays this just insanely weird music that no one's ever heard before. It's kind of reminiscent of the story of Paganini in real life, the virtuoso violinist who was rumored to have sold his soul to the devil in order to be able to play well. But in this case, it appears that the violinist is trying to hold back some great evil from overcoming him with his playing. The playing drives something horrible away, but we're never told what. It's quite an eerie story, and if you like the idea of kind of otherworldly eldritch, as Lovecraft would say, music, this is a good one. My number 3 pick is The Picture in the House. This is another fairly early one from Lovecraft. What I like about this one is that it is very much steeped in the New Englandness of Lovecraft. Lovecraft wrote all of his stories about New England. It's a very eerie part of the country. It's the oldest part of the country. It's dark, there's a lot of trees, and there's a lot of weird old hillbilly type people who live out in the woods there. That's what this story is about. A man wanders into a house which he thinks is abandoned, seeking shelter for the night, finds an old occupant there with his 16th century Bible and all the kind of puritanical trappings, including dialect that's very hard to understand. And it kind of evokes that kind of isolation of Appalachia, although it's further north than that, and just the kind of weirdness of people who have been cut off from civilization for a long time, and how uneasy that makes you feel. It's quite a scary story. It's well done in terms of atmosphere. Doesn't have anything to do with the kind of Cthulhu mythos that Lovecraft became famous for because it predates that, but it is a great story and I like it a lot. Number 2, now we're getting into the Cthulhu mythos a little bit proper, his later work. This is one that people don't talk about very much, and I guess it's not regarded as one of his better stories, but I like it because I like the themes in it. It's called The Dreams of the Witch House. And it involves a mathematician staying in an old witch house and trying to figure out the nature of the 4th dimension. So there's some of his cosmic, outer space mathematics, otherworldly, non-Euclidean geometry stuff that he likes to do. And they're very picturesque descriptions of dreams, of strange alien worlds. which is nice. But it also has a lot of the trappings of old New England witch stories, which I like a lot. It's reminiscent of Nathaniel Hawthorne, the description of the house, the description, and later on the mathematician becomes to be haunted by a witch who is threatening him in the house, or at least the vision of a witch, and wanting him to go to Black Mass and meet the devil and all those kind of traditional things that witches were supposed to have done back in the days when Nathaniel Hawthorne was writing. So it really has that kind of feel to it. It really evokes kind of, 17th, 16th century New England, back when they had the Salem witch trials, which I quite like a lot. And there's a lot of that in addition to the kind of more cosmic horror of the fourth dimension stuff and the dreams. So I think Dreams of the Witch House is a nice addition to the Cthulhu mythos. It's a little bit off point perhaps, and some people have said it's not one of his better ones, but if you've read all the other famous stories, this is a good other place to go. Finally, my number one favorite lesser known Lovecraft story. This is one that no one likes, and I'm kind of mystified by that because it's my favorite of his. And I've read lots of criticism of it and people saying that it's really a minor story in his canon and you could disregard it and there's not much going for it. But I really like it, and it's called The Thing on the Doorstep. This involves a kind of magician, occultist, maybe Satanist type guy who's married to a woman in a small New England community, and he's doing kind of dark research into things you shouldn't be researching. And at one point there is a kind of a personality switch between the man and his wife. Like he does a body swap, an exchange of brains using the occult magic that he's learned. That's sort of the main conceit of the story, and then other things happen after that. But it's handled in a way that I find very unsettling and disturbing and eerily. But I like movies like that. I like Freaky Friday type movies. I always enjoy that plot device. But this is done in not a fun way like those movies. This is done in a very kind of unsettling, upsetting way. And I think it's a great story. And I don't know why no one else likes it, but I do. Now I know I'm going to get comments. I did a top 5 favorite Robert McCammon books. He's a horror author that I like. And everybody complained that I didn't pick their favorite book and said I didn't know what I was talking about and that I clearly hadn't read all the works. I read all the Lovecraft stories, guys. I read all of them, and I know that there's the famous ones, The Call of Cthulhu and The Mountains of Madness and all that, and those are great stories, but I wanted to do something different just so this video isn't the same as everybody else's. And these are the stories I like and that speak to me personally, and I hope you like them too. Please let me know in the comments if there are other Lovecraft stories that have been overlooked by history that you think are good and worth a second read. I'd love to check them out. Even though I've already read all these, I'm going to be doing some rereading over the month in preparation for Halloween. That brings me to a little bit of personal news. I, your humble host, Logan Albright, have a book coming out of my own. It's a nonfiction book called Our Servants, Our Masters. It takes a look at the term public servant and what that really means in modern society. It's a bit of a political book, so if you're not into that, you won't enjoy it. But if you are interested in my politics and my philosophy, it's a great place to start. It's going to be coming out shortly. I will give you a heads up when it's available. It'll be available on Amazon.com, being published by the American Institute for Economic Research. I'm very excited about it, and I hope you, my loyal viewers, some of you will buy copies and write reviews because it would really help me out a lot, and I appreciate it. If you can't do that, then at least give my channel a subscription or give this video a like, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks a lot.